The Season 2 Reloaded update for Black Ops 6 has dropped at last, and alongside it comes the all-new Cowabunga Cranked Limited Time mode for zombies, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover, and unlike some of the previous limited time modes we've seen in this game, Cranked gives us full access to the map's Easter eggs, which is a huge improvement from the version of Cranked we got in Cold War Zombies, for example, and gives us some cool new rewards for completing them with this extra challenge. In this video, I'll show you what you can earn, some tips to do well in the mode, and some map-specific tips for each of the 4 Easter eggs. Now, before I continue, I will be explaining solo and for multiplayer games as well, and if you do want to jump in with other people, be sure to leave your Activision IDs in the comments section below. For some reason, YouTube keeps filtering them out, but I'll be trying to approve them as soon as I am able to, and as soon as I realize. Hopefully you can find some friends to jump in as well, and I will also have links to all of my Easter egg guides for all of the maps in the description of this video, and I also have guides for pretty much all of the side stuff that is required for a lot of these main quests as well, if you need a refresher before jumping into trying them out on Cranked. Completion of the quest in each of the 4 maps will award 10,000 XP, a variant of the map's Easter egg calling card, and a legendary or ultra rare Gobblegum. The Gobblegums available are War Power from Liberty Falls, Hidden Power for Terminus, Phoenix Up for Citadelle Des Morts, and even a Perkaholic for completing the newest map, the Tomb. The calling cards are identical to the map's standard Easter egg calling card, not the early completion recolor, and include a golden shell icon in the bottom corner. Before jumping into the specific maps, there are a few things you will want to know about the mode in general. While we have had Cranked as a mode like I mentioned previously, and in previous games multiplayers and Cold War Zombies, this version functions a little bit differently. If you've ever heard of Cranked before, the gist is that each player has a timer that continuously counts down, and once it hits 0, you die. Getting zombie kills adds time to your personal timer, and making sure this never hits 0 is key. If it runs out, you will fully die out with no chance at being revived. Even in solo, the game will just end regardless of if you have a self-revive or not. This iteration of Cranked also comes with a few unique power-ups, which are a pizza slice, a pizza box, and turtle power. The pizza slice power-up will partially rejuvenate your Cranked timer, whilst the pizza box will set the timer back to the maximum. The turtle power-up gives you some extra health as well as a fully upgraded melee weapon. This power-up can be fun, but while doing Easter eggs should mostly be avoided since picking it up makes you unable to switch weapons for 30 seconds, which can often interrupt a quest step. At the start of each match, the timer is very generous, but as rounds progress, it will continue to get shorter and shorter, eventually reaching 5 seconds. The rounds where the timer changes are not consistent for each map. On Liberty Falls, the timer will reach 5 seconds around 18, while on the Tomb, this doesn't happen until around 30. This brings us to the first huge tip to completing these quests. Low rounds and in turn a longer timer are absolutely key to successfully completing a run. Many of the Easter egg steps can become impossible with the shorter timers, so not passing unnecessary rounds is incredibly important. Unfortunately, since not getting kills can end your run, Trek made it very difficult to tell when a round is near the end, since you will always have zombies spawning, or, at the very least, on the map. Since there's no way to save a zombie, completing steps with a horde of zombies nearby and picking off a few at a time to replenish your timer is necessary. You need to be cautious. The second big tip is to optimize your movement around the map as much as possible. Time spent running back and forth around the map means more zombies need to be killed, and in turn, more rounds progressed. Try to only move to areas of the map when you absolutely need to in order to progress the quest. If any parts are nearby each other, try to pick them up at the exact same time, or close, yes. This also applies to perks, but fortunately the Wunderfizz is available at all times in all 4 maps, so with the exception of Terminus, due to its location, you can save a lot of time by using the Wunderfizz instead. Death Perception can also be helpful in this mode, with its base effect making it easier to find zombies for you to kill, as well as having augments that allow you to have the minimap sweep faster, or see zombie outlines from a greater distance, which is is also helpful with the setting you can turn on. Lastly, the field upgrade is a very powerful tool that is your only panic button. No matter what field upgrade you select, it will be replaced by Donnie's time stopper, which will pause your crank timer for a full minute, whilst also allowing it to be refilled with zombie kills. This can be used for utility to do certain Easter egg steps without worrying about getting additional kills, or as a panic button when your timer gets low and no zombies are nearby. With how powerful this tool is, the Power Keg Gobblegum is an incredibly useful and in some cases nearly essential tool for completing the Easter eggs. Raindrops can also be used for a second full power drop, and timeout will pause the timer for the entirety of its activation. Though these Gobblegums are quite rare and using one for all 4 quests may not be feasible for you. With those general tips out of the way, let's finally jump into some specific tips for each of the 4 maps so you can complete the main quest Easter eggs nice and easily, or at least as easily as you possibly can, which I'm about to explain. For Liberty Falls, you are likely going to want to go to at least round 10 or so to get a Mangler cannon for the jet gun wires without spending all of your salvage. Before this round, you will want to get both of the other parts so that you can get the jet gun as soon as possible to build the LTG. And by the way, if you need any guides such as how to get the jet gun, there's plenty of guides for pretty much everything for every single map already live on the channel. Crafting the LTG can become impossible if you let the timer reach 5 seconds, so getting this done quickly is imperative. Fortunately, most of the Liberty Falls steps have constant spawns and do not require much to be done differently. Just make sure you kill zombies while carrying the canisters back to the church, and you should be able to reach the boss fight pretty quickly. Since low rounds are so important and the Liberty Falls boss fight isn't too difficult, it is probably best to go in as soon as you are able to. The boss fight also does not require much change in strategy, although you likely will be entering the boss with lower powered weapons than usual. Since the first phase is only zombies, this shouldn't be much of a problem, and should just be able to be completed as normal. The second phase with the HVT Manglers can be difficult, but if you have a double packed weapon with Napalm Burst, you should be able to manage. Just be sure not to get too focused on the Manglers and occasionally kill zombies to refill your timer. The last phase has a Mega Abomination HVT, which can be difficult with lower tier weapons. If you have a Killjoy Gobblegum allowing you to spawn an insta-kill, you can massively decrease the difficulty of this phase. Activating your field upgrade and focusing just on the Abomination should let you finish off the fight before the timer resumes. Moving along, we now have Terminus. Likewise, the Liberty Falls Terminus is also not too bad, but does have a few steps that can cause some trouble if you aren't careful. Since Terminus is so huge, it is very important to optimize your movement as much as possible. Making sure you do things like finding the code to Nathan's cell before you go down to the labs can be a massive time save. Building the Beam Smasher can be a bit of a pain in this mode, since 2 steps involve chunks of time where killing zombies is not possible. When solving the math problem to get the Beam Smasher code, it is highly recommended to use the solver website to get the code quickly, since you likely will not have time to manually do the math while on the computer. Speaking of which, I will have one linked on screen and in the description if you need help with that, but I've already shown them in my prior guide on the Terminus Easter egg. You will also need to spend time driving a boat between the islands to get the Beam Smasher ammo. For this step, just make sure to fully refill your crank timer before getting in a boat, and you should have plenty of time to reach each island. The only other step in this egg that can cause some trouble is hacking the buoys. Fortunately, each buoy will spawn a few parasites that will replenish your timer when you first reach them, but it's a good idea to only kill the parasites you need to kill and just tank the hits from the rest. The parasites will follow behind you when you leave to go to another buoy, which lets you quickly exit your boat. Shoot a parasite and re-enter the boat to add your timer while moving between the buoys. The bomb defusal step does not need to be done any differently, so after this step is done, you are all set until the Patient 13 boss. Patient 13 is also not too difficult in cranked since zombies spawn during all parts of the fight. The main thing to look out for is making sure your timer is always at least half full. Since Patient 13's attacks can kill zombies and possibly leave you scrambling to find a zombie in time, falling in the water can also be particularly devastating since the time it takes to get back to the zombies is fairly long. Once again, you will likely be in this fight underpowered, so take taking it slowly and not making any risky plays is the key to success. If you are playing solo, a single packed Beam Smasher can do far more damage to Manglers and Amalgams than you might expect. So, using it instead of your main weapon when fighting standard enemies is a big help towards saving ammo in your main weapon for Patient 13. Now, for Citadelle Des Morts, this is definitely the most difficult main quest to complete in Cowabunga Cranked, and truthfully, it's not worth doing unless you are a hardcore completionist and want the calling card, or you just want to do it for a sheer challenge. It is incredibly difficult to complete, especially on solo, so getting a team of 2 to 4 good players is recommended. It will likely take a few attempts and you will probably burn through quite a few Gobagums for each attempt. Unlike any of the other maps, you absolutely need to come prepared with Gobagums for this one. Now, there is the possibility, of course, that maybe it's going to be nerfed in the future to better balance the mode for Cranked. That is certainly possible. So if at any point it is, I will add a pinned comment as well as an update in the description of this video. So make sure you check that before you go and proceed if you're watching this down the line, in case there's any more useful tips that have been discovered or if Treyarch have changed anything to make it easier. The most useful Gobagum is Power Keg, allowing you to spawn a full power, which regenerates your field upgrade, Donnie's Time Stopper. This gun will be absolutely essential for the boss fight, and every player in your game should have it. If you want to be extra safe, Raindrops will also provide a full power drop that can be very useful. You will also want to bring in a Shock Charge as your piece of tactical equipment if you have it unlocked, otherwise you will need to apply the Deadwire ammo mod to your gun to get one of the lightning rods. It can additionally be helpful to bring the Molotov as your lethal equipment, to help you light the fires needed to get Raz Ank for the fire incantation. You'll want to keep the round as low as possible while trying to complete as many steps as you can, such as getting the 4 incantations, collecting the pieces of the torn book, opening the wall with Melee Macchiato, and solving its puzzle. Completing this Easter egg quest in Cowabunga Cranked can be, and is, very difficult, and if you are not sure how to complete every step of the main quest, or perhaps need your memory refresh, you can also watch my full Citadelle Des Morts Easter egg guide found in the description. Like I mentioned at the start, I think that's the most useful to get a refresher when compared with the other Easter eggs that are a lot more straightforward. After you've upgraded all 4 swords, gotten all 4 incantations, and have inserted the pages into the book and completed the 4 points of power, you'll now need to retrieve and fill up the Mystic Orb. Since filling up the Mystic Orb with the 4 elements spawns lots of zombies, this shouldn't be too hard. Now comes the boss fight, which is something you are going to want to be well prepared for. There is only a limited amount of zombies that spawn, and the Guardian can kill them as he jumps around the arena. You'll want to try to kill the boss as fast as you can while killing the minimal amount of zombies, as they will stop spawning after some time. Once you get in between phases, you may run into trouble with a low timer before some zombies rise up from the ground. If you have a pizza power-up on the ground, it can be efficient to wait until the last mere second to pick it up, and if needed, you will have your field upgrade as a backup. This is where the Power Keg Gobagum comes into play, which spawns in, obviously, a full power-up. This is because, due to the limited amount of zombies, it will likely be necessary to use your field upgrade multiple times during the fight, but recharging it, due to both the limited amount of zombies and the nature of wanting to actually preserve them to extend your timer, is not viable. All 3 phases will ultimately play out the same, where you simply need to focus on killing the boss as fast as possible. The AMR mod for Sniper Rifle, especially paired with the Free Fire Gobagum, can do very large amounts of damage to the boss. The swords are very strong against him as well, although if using them, you will need to watch out for his stomp attack. Once the boss is defeated, the timer will pause, so you don't have to worry about that. Due to how useful the Power Keg Gobagum is, this boss fight is easier with friends, as each player can hold one. So if you are looking for some people to play with, make sure to leave your Activision IDs in the comments below, like I stated at the start. Now, finally we have The Tomb, the latest map to release, and it concludes with a mostly straightforward quest run, in contrast to Citadelle Des Morts. You'll firstly want to reach round 8 while opening up the map and building up your points to get the monocle. Once you've obtained the monocle, you'll want to try and get both parts of the ice staff as soon as possible. The quest to get both pieces will spawn a load of zombies, and with a high timer on lower rounds, doing this shouldn't be too much trouble. Protecting the ice staff while completing the step to put the pieces together together can prove difficult, especially if underprepared on a lower round while not having access to your regular field upgrade. The Killjoy Gobblegum, allowing you to spawn an insta-kill power-up, is a common rarity Gobblegum that can make this step really easy. The rest of the quest involves shooting the symbols in the sky, inputting the code, then doing the steps such as following the purple orb and completing the trials of the 4 statues, which all naturally have you killing zombies anyways. Once you are prepared to begin the boss fight, entering as early as possible will allow you to have the longest possible timer, but you'll still also want to be prepared with a pack-a-punched tier 3 gun, as the sentinel artifacts and HVTs you encounter will have a lot of health. Having Deadwire on your gun is recommended for this boss fight, as the most difficult enemies to kill are the regular and high value target amalgams, which with Deadwire applied take increased elemental damage. This boss fight will give you zombies throughout most of its duration. However, right after destroying one of the sentinel artifacts seen in the sky, during the first 4 phases, you will want to run to a zombie spawn location ready to get a kill. As each time you destroy one of these sentinel artifacts, there will be a brief period where no zombies spawn. The later phases of this boss fight will continually spawn zombies, including the final phase where you are waiting for the final sentinel artifact to move on top of the doorway. Paying attention to your correct timer is critical, and being prepared to use your field upgrade if it gets extremely low can help keep you alive. If you still have it remaining by the time you reach this final phase, you can now just use it and you will have a minute where you can just focus on shooting the last sentinel artifact and not have to worry about killing zombies. So, that's how you complete the main quest and get all of the rewards in the new Cowabunga Cranked mode on all 4 maps currently released in Black Ops 6 Zombies. Now, since this is a limited time mode, I'm not sure if they're going to bring it back in the future. When other maps have dropped, maybe they will. We will have to wait and see. Honestly, why not just leave it in the game permanently? Now, for some extra tidbits as a bit of an epilogue, as a footnote for this discussion, we've had quite a few limited time modes in Zombies over the years, but it's very refreshing to finally have one that leaves the entirety of the core map's features in with a gameplay twist, keeping the Easter egg, for example, compared to some of the other ones that, while adding things to the maps, also remove features, such as by including round limits, or the main quest and side quests being disabled. I hope you find these guides to be helpful. If you are struggling at all, let me know down in the comments, and hopefully some people can help you out. And once again, if you're looking for friends to help you out, make sure to leave your Activision IDs in the comments below. But anyways, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you with plenty more guides to come. And bye.